Hello, 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 Team Wilpers fam. My name is Coach Justin Harris. I'm a coach at Team Wilpers, and this is our Spring Run Challenge 2025 athlete briefing for week number 7. So this is our second to last briefing here for this challenge. So first, as I always start, is a couple little clerical things. If you are doing the challenge, you have the option to make it to choose your efforts, all right, and how difficult it is. So there's a difficult option and an easy option if you didn't realize, because you just see the middle kind of Goldilocks version. So to be able to get different versions, you need to sign up for all access. I think it's like 33 cents a day or something like that. You're getting access to being able to change your difficulty levels, also access to strength written by Matt's coach, Ava Fagan, for this plan. And you also get to see other training plans, like if you're doing a marathon, half marathon, all kinds of different stuff in there, which is awesome. So huge resource just for $10 a month, okay? How we interact, you can find us on Team Wilpers on Facebook or Instagram. And for these run challenges, Team Wilpers Running is the group. It's a private group, so join it and I will accept you in. And this is where everyone interacts, asks questions, where I post questions, put links to what we're doing here and whatnot. So it's a great resource and super powerful. If you want to follow me, you can find me on J Harris Coaching on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so before I get into what's coming up ahead, I want to kind of dig into something that's really important. I kind of been talking with this with a lot of my clients. It was in my newsletter, but our relationship with numbers. So last week I talked about the number one issue that my one-on-one, my private clients face is focusing on their run pace. And when they focus on their run pace, things get really distorted and it becomes this kind of pass-fail type thing. And it really it helps them early on, I'm sure, in their running career, but it hinders them from reaching new heights if that is the sole focal point, okay? And this is not just for beginners. This is all the way up to Olympians and stuff. When you have to hit paces to a certain degree, but most of us, when we're really obsessing about what numbers we have to hit, we end up losing the joy. And if we end up losing the joy, then we end up dreading it and we don't want to do it. So our relationships with numbers, okay, and our numbers. So what metrics are we using to quantify whether it's a good run or a bad run or something indifferent or whatever? And like I said, most people quantify a good run with the pace they ran. And I would argue, and all of our coaches at Team Wilpers would argue, well, it depends on how you got there, right? And so how I try to look at training is that we have these, it's like imagine like a function, like something goes into this process and then something happens in there and then we get an output. So input into a function and then we get an output. And so what we end up doing here is the inputs that influence our performance, okay? So that's how much sleep we're getting, all right? If you're less than 7 hours of sleep, you're 40% more likely to get an injury. Doesn't mean it's a 4 in 10 chance that, like it's absolutely going to happen, but you have a higher likelihood of getting it. All right. Stress. All right. What's your work life like, home life like, good stress, bad stress. There's all these things, right? And influence us. Our nutrition, hydration, the weather. All right. I talked a little bit about how heat and humidity and dew point really influence our paces, all right, and our performance. And then terrain. Is it hilly? Is it flat? So on and so forth, right? So all these things go into the function, and the function is really us as humans, okay? So I kind of call it, the function is called, I kind of say effort, right? Like we're like, focus on your effort, right? Matt will talk about it a lot. I try to provide descriptions in the challenge. You should be smooth, you should be steady, you should run strong, right? Because really the only thing at the end of the day is we can control our effort. What's happening there, I can break effort down into kind of biochemical and biomechanics, all right? So biochemical is what's happening on a cellular level, a vascular level, mitochondria, capillary bed development, like all these kind of exciting and cool things. that are really hard to quantify, but let's just call that like, yeah, I call it biochemical. So what's happening there? So as we do, more training, we get fitter. If we increase our VO2 max, we're increasing the horsepower. If we get more fit, then we're in zone 2 training. Not all zone 2 training. You have to have a diversity in efforts and speeds and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we're working on efficiency. Okay, so when we're efficient, then we have like more gas mileage on the car per se. All right. So that's all the things that are happening at a biochemical level that in training, we're trying to move the needle in that direction. Now I'll say this. All right. I get asked this by my one-on-one clients, my new ones. All right. How long is this going to take to see improvements? Sometimes it's 6 weeks, sometimes it's 6 months. But what I've seen historically is to chip away at a long time, I see really big gains around 12 months to 18 months of people being consistent. That's not training every day. That's not just ramping up for 18 months. We go up and down. But it's kind of like 2 or 3 race cycles to get in everything. VO2 max, threshold, zone 2 training, different types of long runs, strength work, mobility work, right? That the biochemical stuff takes a really long time to fix. On the biomechanical side, there's biomechanical things that come into play here, right? So we can just say like long legs, short legs. Now that's not going to influence, there's short people who run fast, there's tall people who run fast, right? But how we move our bodies is important. So I think a long time ago, I saw a research study that the insertion point of the Achilles tendon, is like, if it was 2 millimeters difference, it was like it was a difference between someone being a sprinter and a distance runner. So these small kind of human body things. But are we a heel striker, a forefoot striker, or like that matters? Where you strike, are you out in front of you? So are you working on your technique? Are we crossing nose to belly button, our center line? Are we punching that center line and we're losing power side to side, or are we running forward, as I say, cheek to cheek, right? Sprinting faster will be bigger, but we're slower. Sometimes we see, a lot of fast runners, like their arms are doing stuff, but what's happening hips down is phenomenal, right? So I kind of quantify the function as biomechanical or biochemical, right? And that's kind of like our effort. What can we do? What are we made of here, right? And the output is your heart rate, your pace, or your power output if you're cycling and you're a triathlete, right? So when we really look at it, it's not, these are just outputs of all these things that are happening beforehand, okay? So the inputs, the influences that are on us, and then where we're at in our fitness, our training age, right? Someone training for 1 month is not going to be in the same place physically as someone training for, 10 years, all right? There's difference of capacity, right? So our relationship to numbers is understanding first how we get to those numbers and what's going on. So at the end of the day, if it's hot out and my pace is slow, it's not my fault. It's not me. It's the pace. If I go run up a mountain, it makes sense that my effort is going to be either increased to run the same pace or the same, and I'll run slower. That's okay. All right. So think about like the inputs that are coming in, which ones you can control, and then knowing that your body takes a long time to produce results. 8 weeks. We're just scratching the surface here. If you've done multiple challenges, we're trying to stack them up to build you up as you go along, okay? The other thing to come into play here, our relationship with numbers, because we can get really obsessed with numbers and our test results, and every time we go out, we want a PR. But I think of it as kind of like finite thinking versus infinite thinking, okay? And finite thinking is like, I only have this amount of time, I gotta get it done, I'm only this age, like I wanna get all the majors done, or, I have this time, and it's just like, we're putting ourselves in this small box and we can't do everything all the time, all at once, right? Things have to take time. If we look at it as an infinite game, like, hey, we're just gonna learn and grow, then we can kind of zoom out and lengthen our timeline. And when we lengthen our timeline, that puts less pressure on ourselves. And it's really how the human body works. It takes a long time to make some of these adaptations and changes. So I encourage you to zoom out and think bigger picture and look at it more as the infinite game, because we're just trying to learn and grow. We're just trying to play, have fun, enjoy what we're doing, right? When it's finite, it becomes pressure. Now, there are things that are finite, right? Like, I want to win an Olympic gold medal. Well, the Olympic Games are every 4 years, so it's finite. But you'll see time and time again, people can get a little lost, as I say, lost in the sauce with, focusing on the wrong things. And I've seen athletes turn it around and win a medal when they didn't give up, but they just let go. And they started enjoying it more, and they had a lot of fun. So we can shift our mindset, all right, and think more infinite instead of like finite and short term. And the last thing I say with our relationship to our numbers is who's walking the dog, okay? I've said this before, but who's in charge here, right? We're in charge, all right? So this thing, our smartwatch, is there to guide us, right? And it can bark at us, tell us we're out of shape or unproductive or, detraining or whatever it is. So it's this idea where, you're in control of your training, right? We're not in control of our pace all the time because all these things influence it. So zoom out, relax a little bit, let go of some stuff. You are not defined by your pace, okay? I can promise you. Some of my best performances in my life have not been my fastest time, my PR. The course was challenging, the conditions were challenging, whatever it was, different distance, first time and only time running that distance or whatever it is. So our relationship with numbers can really influence whether we're enjoying the process or we're dreading it. And if you're dreading it, then you're just going to do it for a little bit. And then when that thing's over, then we're on to the next thing, or we go back to sitting on the couch, and ain't nobody got time for that at Team Wilpers. Okay. So, zoom out a little bit, have a little bit of fun. Don't get so focused on your numbers and realize what's influencing your numbers. Okay. So week ahead. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Biggest, most dense week of the training block. Is it the most you could ever do? No, but it's the most for this training plan, okay? And it's the most dense, so that means volume plus intensity, okay, or times intensity, all right? So I didn't change a whole lot here, but it's pretty dense. I've been in the Facebook group. I've been seeing people. The longer progression run is definitely more challenging, right? So I give you another week of that, all right? This is the last week of a 60-minute, or depending on which group you're in, but the longer progression run, okay? The more challenging progression run. Be patient with it. Don't try to force it. Don't try to have it be better than last week, because there's going to be more fatigue building up. Each block two is more challenging than block one, right? And week three is more challenging than week two. Okay, so it just happens. It's going to stack up. So try to execute your best effort and have your best performance. That's not necessarily the fastest. This is why I started with our relationship with numbers. Okay, so everything is building to this crescendo. All right, the coaches are kind of like directing an orchestra, right? Conductors, right? I say I'm like Dr. Dre at the producers board, and I'm trying to move the dials into things. You guys are all of my instruments. And I'm trying to get the right sound out of everyone, right? To play something really great and awesome, right? So each week we're kind of tuning it up, and on our recovery weeks we tune the volume down a little bit, and we keep the things there so we're staying healthy. So the things that are going to be different this week, so same speed play, another week to work on it, another week to perfect it, another week to learn and grow, all right? Progression run stays the same as last week, all right? But it's going to be more challenging because we have a little bit more fatigue. All right, the long run, we're back to the last hilly long run and the highest volume. All right, we went up 15 minutes. We went up 15 minutes. All right, the other place I made a change was on Friday. Friday is a restoration run, and I've increased that by 15 minutes. So we've gone up a little bit. And again, it doesn't take much to make a big change or difference. All right, minimal effective dose is one of my principles here. All right, it's not minimal, it's what's effective. All right, so we're only increasing by, I think it's only 30 minutes for the week, but everything building up to the crescendo here is this is the toughest week. So don't worry about your numbers. Execute each day, engage with it, try to get the duration in. It's our heaviest week. Back off the intensity a little bit. I'd rather you back off the intensity and get the volume in than the speed. All right. All right. The long run, it's our longest run plus it's a hilly run. Well, why does that make sense? Well, it kind of doesn't, okay? Sometimes coaches like to make the longest one a flat one. I actually like to make the longest one a hilly one, and this is the reason why. When it's flat, we're more likely to be closer to the race distances we're working towards, and most people I'll take that back. Some people treat it like a race, all right? And they end up running really fast. I've coached for many years. I've seen it time and time again. So I make it the hilly one. It's a little bit more intimidating. And a hilly run is not about pace. This run is really about time on feet. So I'd rather you out there a little bit longer, all right? Even though I'm running it based on duration. But if I were to rate it based on distance, all right, it's really about time on feet. So just chug, be out there, have a good time, all right? Don't try to maximize. Everyone's a little bit better. We're just trying to load up the volume here. And as it builds up, all right, you might go a little, maybe not as far. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you pick a hillier route. You try a new trail network or park to run in. Whatever it is, it's all good. We're on our feet for a longer duration, okay? All right, last thing. I want to plant the seed for next week, okay? So next week is week 8 of 8. We're going to unload volume, all right, and pretty drastically in. So we're going to keep the intensity there. I'm going to go back to speed play, minute on, minute off, all right? Recycle that back in, but much shorter. All right, we're going to go back to a shorter progression run. We're going to reduce the Friday run back to the same, and we're going to have a 20-minute test. Now, a lot of people are asking, hey, I just took a test a little while ago. Well, if you didn't take a test to start off, you absolutely should take a test at the end of this 8 weeks. So I'm just talking about week 7, but I'm planting the seed that the following week. So if you're coming into this week and you're struggling, I can almost guarantee you that when it was easier in block 1, that you were doing extra. Almost guarantee it, that you were doing extra, either faster, adding intervals because you felt good. And if you're really having a tough time here, you need to look backwards, several weeks and see what you did back then. Because if you're really having a tough time with this, you probably did extra somewhere else, either with intensity or volume or number of reps, whatever it is, or you added extra, maybe an extra bike workout because you felt, and you didn't let me adjust the stuff, all right? You took it on yourself, all right, to think you're smarter than me or something like that. And you might be in the hurt locker this week. Back off, do the best you can, all right? Maybe you got to stay at the same distances we've been doing in durations, okay? So anyway, all right, so this is the time where I kind of scroll through, see if there's any questions or curiosities. If you have them, put them in. I'll answer them, all right? Yep, joy over everything I'm running. Yeah, we're doing this to have fun. When I was racing triathlon professionally for a couple years, I wasn't that great, but it was hard because I put a lot of pressure on myself. So, all right, everyone's saying hi to each other. What's up, crew? All right. Oh, Karina. Hello, Miss Karina. How you doing? All right, so... okay, yeah, so Brooklyn Half tomorrow. A bunch of people are doing that. Yeah, it's going to be hot and humid. My client that's doing it, I told her, hey, be on the slower end of your paces. Try to keep your temperature down for as long as possible. So, there's some little tricks there of like wetting a hat or making sure you're, like what I like to do is I freeze a Poland Spring water bottle and I just hold on to it while I'm just like hanging out. And so, because the blood is the furthest from the hand and it cools it up a little bit. It's not a big game changer, but just trying to keep your core temperature down for as long as possible. But shift your pacing strategy. Don't show up and blow up and just see how long it lasts. You're going to have a miserable experience because it's going to be toasty out there. All right. So, all right. Yes, Dana, I was calling you out. Yeah, you should really test again. Okay. Oh, Karina, yes. That would be nice if I knew it all. But I know what you mean here. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So, all right, guys. Well, listen, I'm trying to keep this a little shorter and sweeter. So follow us on our socials, Team Wilpers on Facebook and Instagram. Join the Team Wilpers running group, Team Wilpers Running. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at J Harris Coaching. Just engage with us. Let us know, especially what you're struggling with, what you're having a tough time with, what's going really well. What did you overcome? I'm starting to see people overcome the progression run. I know we love a lot of dynamic flexibility and all these intense classes and this and that, but to be really good at something, you didn't learn something in school and then we moved on to the next thing, early on. You practice it, you get better at it, you get feedback, you do it again, you get away from it a little bit and you come back to it and see where you're at if you actually learned it, okay? So this is not cramming the test. All right, everyone, you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of week number 6 and week number 7 is our biggest week. So if you got some running left, I wouldn't crush it. I wouldn't kill it. I'd save a little bit for next week. It shouldn't kill you. If it does kill you, you probably did too much earlier on when you weren't being patient. So you're going to pay the price a little bit, but you should back off. All right. And then next week's unloading week. All right, everyone. Have a good one. See y'all later. Bye.